Hi, I would like to welcome you to Vittles Voices. Today, our show is How Did You Know She Was the One? We're here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and I have the privilege to be interviewing a near and dear friend, Mr. Jordan Robertson. Welcome, Jordan, to our show.
Thank you.
Jordan is about 45 days out from his last days of being a single man. I said he's getting ready to jump that broom, give up that player's card, and truly make that ultimate commitment to say that he loves, he wants to grow, and to share the rest of his life with one woman. So, Vittles and Voices, let's hear Jordan's voice. So, Jordan, tell us about your fiance.
Teresa. Teresa Suit is my fiance. She is easily, I can say, the love of my life. The woman that I do want to build a future with. She's smart, sassy, intelligent, beautiful, everything that I wanted in a woman and then some. She's very supportive. She is family orientated, and we share common goals as far as family and the future that we want to build together.
I mean, that's really all good things that I think is core for a relationship, for a marriage, and truly that's what we're trying to let our fans know at home know kind of, what are the things that you think about, as you're going through those last days. And I guess, let me just get some baseline. How long?
It's the beginning, not last days. Don't say it that way.
I'm going to say the last days. That's how some of the single men feel it, and I think a lot of women feel, oh no, it's just the beginning. So how long have you two been together? I mean, how
It's
long?
been about three and a half years now.
3.5 years. Okay, so when did you know along that 3.5 year journey that she was the one for you?
I guess early in the beginning, I guess it's a couple parts to it, but early in the beginning I knew that it only took me a couple weeks to know that I would love her. Mm-hmm. And then it took a couple, I guess, years, around year and a half, 2 years mark, where I really starting to think about building a future with her.
Now, let me kind of set a backdrop here for our audience. Jordan, met Teresa in Atlanta, where we know the ratio in Atlanta is 7 to 1, men to women. But if we really want to keep it real, it's probably about 10 to 11 to 1 if you include the straight brothers out there, So, I mean, Jordan, how hard was it for you to, and I'm not saying you were a player, but to let the other ladies go, to truly focus on Teresa here, saying this is the woman that I want to focus a relationship with? Because it's a hard thing for us men to do when you can kind of, like a buffet to one extent, sometimes pick and choose who you really want to be with, or take the qualities, better qualities in some women versus the other.
I think it wasn't as difficult when it's meant to be, and I feel like it was meant to be for me to be with her. So it was kind of easy. Like I said, it only took me a couple weeks to realize that I would love this woman, that I would fall in love with her. It took me a little while longer to admit to myself, probably what I always knew, that this was the woman for me, like long term. And at the risk of sounding cliche, you know when you know.
Oh gosh, nobody knows when they know. Come on.
There's always that moment where you say that, you can look at it from a logical standpoint and say, this is what's in front of me.
Okay.
And these are my goals. And does this person fit into my plan? Will they complement me? Will they, help me to get to where I need to be? Will they better myself? And all the answers to those questions with Teresa and taking her into consideration was yes, yes, yes.
Wow. Okay.
And, I loved her. And then, prior to that, I think I had an appreciation for the women that I was dating before Teresa, but the real deciding factor is that I fell in love with Teresa. Awesome. And it lasted, and she reciprocated that love, and it was a mutually rewarding relationship, and it continues to be that.
I think a lot of women sometimes wonder, what is it when a man finds this woman that he wants to be with? And you hear a lot of times a man has been in a relationship with a woman for 3 years, they break up, he meets the next woman, and then maybe 6 months later he knows, I'm ready to marry her. Do you think it was an element of timing for you? when Teresa walked into your life, were you like more mature? Were you ready to say, I'm at this age of, what age were you? When you first started dating her?
28.
So around the age of 28, was you thinking to yourself, I'm at the age right now that I'm ready to just settle down and really start focusing on my family? Is that what it was?
No,
or?
not at all. I can't lie. I would say I was more mature at 28 than previous years, but it wasn't focused on that goal of saying I want to build a family. That wasn't on my radar. That wasn't in the forefront of my mind. Maybe it's always been a long-term goal, but at that time I didn't think it was going to happen that quickly.
So let me ask some of the hard questions that guys and people that don't really want to know, man. Man, are you ready? I mean, are you scared? I mean, you're like 45 days out here, buddy.
Yeah.
So I mean, let's really get into some of those soul things that sometimes we're scared to talk about, and it's nothing bad about it, because we're trying to help other people here with this show when they're having some of these feelings. So I mean,
I think it's day to day, but for the most part, I am ready. And honestly, the point where I made the decision that I was ready was the day that I made the decision to ask her to marry me.
Oh, whoa. Okay, go ahead.
Well, there were days leading up to that, but that is the moment. Because now, before that moment, it was all internal.
Right.
Now, that moment that I asked her, I said, would you, do me the honor and be my wife? Will you marry me? That's that moment where you're announcing to her, and then beyond that, the public, that this is the plan. This is what I want.
Okay.
So before that moment, I could have easily said, you know what, this isn't for me.
But I guess
at this moment.
But I guess sometimes as men, sometimes we say, man, I could see marrying this lady, or I could see marrying this lady, or this lady right here make a good wife. And just because we might think they make a good wife doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be our wives.
Absolutely, I agree.
So when you were ready, it had to be before the moment that you asked her to marry you. So I guess what I'm getting at is, did you hear a little voice in your head one day that you just woke up and had this epiphany that said, I'm just going to marry Teresa? I mean, what was that feeling? Because I know you had to fight with yourself some, because that one to be single was...
You may not like this answer, because it may not be as juicy as you like it, but honestly, it just came down to love. I loved her. I mean, flat out, I was in love with her. I'm in love with her. And it's just that feeling that person gives you, and how you feel about them, and that desire to always have them around. That desire or that ability to picture them in your life beyond today.
So, keeping it real, I know you had a lot of people that was happy for you, but how many guys or how many women was like, don't do it, don't get married, it's not worth it? I mean, I know you've seen some of your friends go through divorces and everything, so I mean...
I think it's about maybe 50-50.
50? Come on.
I mean, it depends on the day. I mean, and a lot of the people that initially say don't do it, they'll pause for like 30 seconds to say, you know what, let's get serious. Marriage is a great thing,
Okay.
And but it also comes with a disclaimer, or it comes with advice that marriage is what you make it. And I firmly believe that is true in many parts of our lives. It's what do you want to get out of it? What are you willing to put into it? What are your expectations? And you asked earlier, am I afraid or nervous? I think on some days maybe I am.
Okay.
I
honestly, that's great.
I'm going forward, and I'm confident that I've made the right decision. But what I don't know is, will I have what it takes to make it last? Because I think someone once told me that it's easy to get into marriage.
Right.
'Cause it's kind of like a fraternity. It may not be easy to get in fraternity, but you can pledge, and then you can cross. And now, are you going to stay relevant? Are you going to stay active? Are you going to uphold the principles of that organization? So, in parallel to that, are you going to uphold the principles or the values of your family that you and your wife agree to? And that's that, because you never know. You never know what the future holds. It may be challenges, but someone once told me that true love is a commitment and not a feeling. So if you stay committed to the commitment, you'll stay in love.
True love is a commitment, not a feeling. And that's one to take to the bank.
Yeah. So feelings change like the weather, but commitments, if you're a stand-up person, hopefully you can stay fast to your commitments. And
You know, being that, you know, you had a great setup, being that you lived in Atlanta. Teresa lived in Atlanta. Teresa's parents live outside of Atlanta.
right.
And your parents live in Atlanta. So did that family interaction like help you, or, you know, did you feel did you feel the love from the family? I mean, how important was her family and you feeling like you was a part of her family, her a part of yours, and kind of your decision making for the future? Because, you know, some people get in relationships and they really don't like their in-laws, you know, just keeping it real, or they never really had a chance to bond with their in-laws. So how did that work with you all in that situation?
It was a big part. It was a big part. And I know especially for Teresa on her side, it was a big part. That her family, her mother in particular, who I love,
yeah,
love
you
like a second mother,
I mean, you better.
that it was very important that her parents approved of whoever she wanted to be with, at every level, at the boyfriend level, and now at the marriage level.
Now, with her parents' approval, and according to the word, you know, we're supposed to leave our mother and father. We're supposed to cling as one, or leave our parents and become one flesh. You know, do you think she's going to be a little bit more removed from her family, or do you think in her mind she's made this transition and make like Jordan is my family? Or are you starting to feel that happen, or do you think it'll happen after the marriage?
I'm feeling that now because we do live together.
Okay.
That was a recent occurrence. She moved to Illinois to be with me, and so we've been living together now for about 8 months, maybe 7 months. So in that decision that we've made, we have become each other's family.
Okay.
You know, and we're both struggling with building our network and having a support structure, and it has created that situation where we have to begin to lean on each other, to begin to rely on each other, you know, as everything really, family, friend, and all of the above. So I can't really speak how she feels about it, but I think we both are challenged by that. But it's something, I think, a challenge that we are rising to.
You know, throughout my life, I listen to, you know, older people and kind of what they say, and I've always heard someone say, you should be with someone through different seasons of your life.
Absolutely. You
know, and me being good friends with you, I know you have been through some great seasons and some low seasons. And did that play a factor into you seeing the type of wife that she's gonna be?
Absolutely.
Be to you, you know?
Yeah, it did. It was, you know, and I'm comfortable saying this, but my brother passed away about a year ago.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And thank you. And she was there, you know, and she stood by my side. She stood by my side the whole time. You know, even though for her it was, I could probably answer this and say that it was a new situation for her. It was a new space for her. But I think instinctively, one thing she did know is that she wanted to be there for me. That she wanted to be available if I needed her. And her just physically being there, emotionally being there, meant the world to me. And as you put it, that was a down season for me and my family. And Teresa, you know, rose to the occasion. Teresa's family rose to the occasion. They were all very supportive, and that was one of those, you know, real life moments that presented itself, unfortunately. But I think we dealt with it as a family should, together.
Right, and I think, you know, that is so key as we all, you know, go through relationships and start to build, because sometimes we meet people at the high point of their life, and sometimes you meet some people when they're at their low point of their life, and sometimes we discount them.
Absolutely.
You know, on either end. And so I think, you know, that whole family and her being there. So